budget estimate for defense. If you look at page 6, Honorable Chairman and Honorable Members, of the document that we made available, page 6 of the document, you will have the summary of what is being proposed by our ministry. And it's an estimate of 23,275,564,740 naira. And this comprises of personnel cost of 8,786,086,509 naira, and overhead cost of 1,589,478 1,589,428,232 naira, and for capital 12,899,999,999 naira. And since I believe you're going to take the agencies differently and separately, I want to concentrate on the ministry, the headquarters, for this session. Our projection for revenue is on page 7. And although we're using the standard 10% increase that the Budget and National Planning Office advises us to do, which gives us a projected increase to 3,151,393,767 naira 84 kobo. I must add, Honorable Chairman, that this focuses primarily on royalties and fees. We're taking an additional step so that you have a total rounded picture of what is actually generated from our sector. By asking the FIRS, we're working with the FIRS to delineate what our mining companies pay directly to FIRS as corporation tax and other taxes that they pay. So the Dangote, the Lafarge, the Goa, the quarries that are all over the place, they pay direct to FIRS. But we believe that it's important for you to have a proper sense of what it is that we generate with respect to that. When we came here on Tuesday, we highlighted, as we have done again here on page 8, areas of concentration for budget 2017, which is basically implementation of our roadmap developed in 2016 that we shared when I came to brief you at the plenary last year. So, and that is what is going to be the focus of our work this year, on generating qualitative geological data, on strengthening our inspectorate department, and pulling all of them together into a single regulatory authority, on the formalization of our artisanal and small-scale miners, and on the archiving and management of our mineral titles, as well as the security surveillance, because almost every member has raised concern with us in the ministry about what is happening with regards to illegal mining. The chairman of legislative compliance comes from an area where a lot of illegal mining takes place in Iseyin, and we had to deal, I believe recently, with the case of the murder of some citizens in that community by some Chinese operating illegally in Iseyin, Iwojowa area. So, and this is something that is common in Nasarawa, in Kwara, in Kaduna, everywhere around, we're dealing with this challenge, and we want to make it a major priority of our work in 2017. So, what we have done, as you will see from the presentation, is an outline, basically, of what it is that we have proposed, and I believe that is on page 11. If you look at page 11, Honorable Chairman, the main appropriation figures are contained there.
That's 2016.
Actually, from 16. Yeah, it's not 16. And the one that I really want to deal with is from page 23, yes. Particularly the capital section of it. I mean, we can either take it two ways, sir. If you have specific areas you want us to throw or shed light on, or if you want me to just go through the various estimates.
Just present the summary, and there are details that we require to ask.
Okay. Based on what I've said and what our priorities are for the implementation of our roadmap and the focus of our work, some of the key items that you find here include, for example, if you look at procurement of field vehicles, which is about 528 million naira. You may wonder, since you gave us money in 2016 to buy vehicles, and we bought vehicles in 2015 and in 2016 for the first time in 10 years for our mines officers in the 36 states. But what we did was only sufficient to buy a vehicle each. When you come from these states, take Jigawa, or you take Oyo or Kwara, where we have an average of about these places that we're talking about are in the far-flung hinterland of the state. There's not much you can do with a vehicle, which will probably just be taken up by the mines officer. We have an artisanal and small-scale mining officer there. We have an environmental compliance officer there. We have other officers. Sometimes we share a building with our geological surveys and our other agencies. So we are getting these additional vehicles to also deal with security issues and also mine surveillance. But we'll provide breakdown for these big ticket items that I am highlighting so that you understand precisely what it is that we are doing with the summary figure that you have here. The other area here that would be of interest, I believe, is the establishment of safer mining technique centers for precious and industrial metals. This is important to us because we have had to deal over the years, even before we came to this ministry, with incidents of lead poisoning that have confronted small-scale informal miners. And we believe we need to begin to develop a process that can also serve as a training opportunity for people who want to engage in this small-scale mining. It's no use telling them that they are illegal. That argument we will never win. If somebody is in his backyard in Oyo or in Nasarawa and you tell him that he is illegal on his father's ancestral land where he's mining a product with digger and shovel, and you tell this same person that the man who has obtained a license from the minister in Abuja, who is from nowhere, as far as it's concerned, is the one who is legal on that land, it's a difficult challenge. And that's why we decided that it has to be a carrot and stick approach. We have to support these people who are just doing it as an anti-poverty strategy to build their skills base, to provide them with tools, to provide them with education. And that's what we're doing with this particular center that I've highlighted here. We are also, we have a figure of 100 million for research, development and collaboration with universities. We do not have enough linkage with our universities. Yet geology is a course that is taken by so many universities in Nigeria. Mining engineering is taken by fewer institutions. But the critical challenge is that there is no synergy between industry, the ministry, and the research institutions. And we believe that it's time for us to develop and strengthen that partnership in order for them to be of value to us and for us to also be of assistance to them in the training of the professionals that we need in the sector, so that they don't just end up with certificates. There are many geologists who have certificates, but they are completely useless on the field. They don't even know what geology is when it comes to practical geological work that they're supposed to do. And we believe we can improve the skills base in this regard. If you go to page 24, sir, you will see the big ticket item there is 171,445,366 naira. Consultancy on revenue collection project and security receipts. Let me try and explain this, Honorable Chairman. We went to the National Economic Council, having secured approval from the President, to also secure approval of the governors, in order to get authority to recruit revenue consultants. We are convinced, and I told you that when I came on Tuesday, that there's a lot of underreporting of the revenue that is being generated in this sector. In fact, there is a lot of tax evasion in this sector as well. And the only way we can deal with this is to recruit people who would incentivize to help us investigate what has happened. So we're doing a bank duty audit in the first instance for 5 years, the last 5 years, and then moving forward, developing a consistent mechanism that would allow our federal mines officers in the states to work with these independent consultants in the generation of revenue. But we have to pay in order for this to work well. And this is what this particular estimate is referring to. We're not in the steel committee. I would have highlighted the next big ticket item I see, which is the 2 billion for concessioning of Ajaokuta Steel Company Limited. But just for the record, because you may be interested as honorable members, what that is dedicated to is transaction advisory services for the concessioning of Ajaokuta, and also payment of severance responsibility for those who are going to disengage automatically when the private initiative takes over there. So we have factored that into the allocation that we have here. Let me also highlight the 1 billion naira that is for the regulatory agency. Right now, the ministry is heavily involved in regulation. We have our Directorate of Mines Inspectorate in the ministry. We have the Environmental Compliance Directorate in the ministry. We have the Artisanal and Small Scale Mining Directorate in the ministry. We also have the Mining Cadastral office, which is an autonomous agency in its own, but still reporting to the ministry. The decision in our roadmap is that all of these agencies need to come together under one roof to make regulation a cost of 8,786,509 naira, and then capital of 12,899,999,999 naira. So, but I'll be happy to take specific issues that may arise out of this.
Compliance now is in every committee.
I'm sure you have gone in the spirit of answering some questions that may arise and giving details. Honorable colleagues, if there are questions, having studied the budget and having heard from the minister, let's take them.
I don't want to take your time, but I just need want to share some more light on some few questions that we feel when we get to operation are things we should be able to defend ourselves and give proper explanation to some of these things. It is just on acquisition of non-tangible assets. Because there are some things that we discover from most of the NDA and ministries. The templates in which we believe the oil office are being given to most of this Ministry of Infrastructure at times are not working. These are templates that does not work it. It's a kind of repetition of most of these things that happened 2016, 2017 again, in which at the appropriation of funds to those areas, at the end of the day, funds will not be released on it, even if the approval is being given. At the end of the day, the money is a wastage of just pushing in and then blowing the budget of ministries and even the general budget as a whole. But with the 10% increase here now, for example, there's an area here on the acquisition of non-tangible assets. Then we go down there's an area of that it indicates maybe research and development. On this area, it appears almost in another frame when we look at it, almost on three sides of all these things. That needs proper look into an explanation. Because when we look at it, here, they said research and development, it is 598 million. 598.5.
500.
598.
What page are you, sir?
Oh, well, these are extras from the main budget that we pick from. And that's what we are working on. And this also have proper study and analysis.
Okay, you've done your own.
You've done our own.
Okay. Please go ahead.
Okay. So when you look at it, there is a pure appearance of all the same research, almost tries. That's what we call research into clean coal and technology of environment. That one is there too. They put 208,810,000. Then at the same time, research development and collaboration with universities. That one too, it is 100 million. Am I right? So when we look at all these things, if it is a breakdown from the main stream of the 598, and the phrase being used on these three parts, Minister, we shall look at it and see maybe we are going to arrive at the same point. And the amount being put on all these areas on this same salary is not clear. And the second question there, it is, there is an area here you say, you say amendment of mining law. Is it by the legislators? Or you have a special consultant that are actually going to address that? Those are just my two questions.
Budget and national planning is too generic and difficult to fit everything into that box. So it creates confusion, and when you describe an item that is more elaborate in just a single line, you don't really get a total picture of what you are saying in the budget. So that much you are right about. But the figure you refer to on research and development, it's a summary figure.
Yes.
That summary figure is now further broken down. And the 100 million to the university is just a component part of the overall 598,500,000 naira. But we'll be happy to provide the Honorable House Committee with details of what that entire 598 is comprised of. We will make that available to you.
So that we can have more, analysis on let's be inclusive, sir, on the establishment of this.
No, we can do that for every other, because that section of it is summary. Before we go to project name, before we get to project name.
Okay.
So, but the upper part is just summary. Vehicle summarized, general goods summarized. So we now need to. We will do so, sir. On your question about amendment of laws, what does this mean? It's very simple. It means recruiting a professional team to help with it, because we're changing the regulatory framework. That is bound to necessitate an amendment of the Mining and Minerals Act 2007. But before we get to you, we need to do our own technical work in the ministry. That technical work will be done by consultants, legal professionals. We will hold stakeholder engagements and all that. But it will still come, well, in any case, it cannot become a law until it gets to you. So you are right, you will be involved, but at this stage, your involvement will be at the stakeholder engagement and at the legal. Because we'll do our own public hearing at the ministry before you do your own public hearing at the so that's really what that refers to. The question that Honorable asked about what budget has done. I know budget, the NGO that has highlighted aspects of the budget, including our own budget in the ministry, but particularly in relation to the IT automation program. First, what we have for that to spend this year is only about 45%. 45% of that 738 million, which is why we have made additional provision in 2017. Granted, the contract itself was awarded because it's a bigger ticket item. It had to go to the Federal Executive Council, and we've actually just finalized that process. So hopefully by the time we paid the 15% mobilization, paid maybe the second tranche of what is required, we would have entered fully into 2017 approval, and we'll be able to complement it with what has been allocated for this year in that. But if you don't get that explanation, you would think we have spent 736 million and now we're spending another 289 million, which is not the case. But on your second question about mining equipment, let me say without any fear of equivocation, and we do have our challenges with the customs. Because customs also has its own peculiar way of interpreting what a mining equipment is. But on our part, once it is a company that can be proven to have a site where they can use mining equipment and they send us all the details, we grant them duty free. We sign it off for them. My own officials go to investigate, they come back with their recommendation, and we keep approving it because that's what the law says. It's in the law. It's one of the incentives we have with the law. However, there are mining equipment that have dual usage. There are mining equipment you can use for construction, and you can also use for mining, for excavation, for all of that. So sometimes investors run into problems with the customs and excise. By the time they bring in this mining equipment in, custom may say this is not a mining equipment. You use this for road construction. So that does not have a duty-free cover. So we're not going to approve it. And a lot of the times we still provide additional defense for such companies. It's just that some companies would rather avoid the cumbersome nature of these and go and buy it for whatever it is worth, rather than go through the process of obtaining duty-free cover for their mining equipment. But we still have it. It's still the position of the law, and we support companies that want to bring in things for that. My brother from Teswaju has left, but I'm really interested in the question he asked, which is also why we have increased our security and surveillance approach now, because we too have come to the conclusion that police alone cannot handle this. Some of these people, because they're involved in billions of naira business, they also invest in all kinds of illicit weapons. Mining police with headquarters in Jos, when Nigeria still used to be a mining nation in those days. But even the police does not have that now. We've only just revived it. The IG, upon our request, has just set up the mines unit. So we have that. We have the civil defense. We have DSS. We have NSA. We have a coordinated task force working with us on mine surveillance now. And I want to assure you that if there is any reason for us to do anything specific in that federal constituency, we will come there. But there is also paucity of funds, and Oyo State is not exactly a small state. Ibadan is where our office is. Itesiwaju is near the border of Togo. So to say that we have the capacity to cover it, and this is applicable to all other states, not just Oyo State. But it's a challenge we must continue to confront and reduce the scourge of illegality there. But on the second issue that you raised about host community, well, I don't know the companies he's referring to that are operating in that particular segment, Honorable Chairman. But I know that unless they are operating illegally, you cannot obtain a license from us without the consent of the host community. And we will not give you consent if you have not produced a community development agreement which stipulates clearly what you are going to do by way of corporate social responsibility for the community where you are mining. But I'll be interested in that information. If he has information that that company is legal and legitimate and they've not been doing their duty, I will put our officers on it and they will check out what exactly is happening in that particular area. But it's not that companies do not default on their social responsibility to the community, but at least we would have a paper that they've signed and this is what they're supposed to do, and communities can take them up and inform us that they failed in their duty. Officers, 38 vehicles, 36 for the state, 1 for FCT, and then 1 for the headquarters inspectorate department. But as I explained, this is not enough. If we're bringing in the coordinated surveillance team that I talked about, we also have to provide vehicles for the security agencies, because their own agencies may not necessarily provide them with vehicles that will